So honestly, I didn't even plan on uploading today. Although a game that I was really interested in and picked up and wanted to review ended up being a lot shorter than I thought. So I'm going to talk about this game today. It's a game called Bad Cheese. Now, when I first saw all of the promotional stuff for it, and I believe it was even in one of the directs or something of that nature, I know I knew about the game before it hit the eShop. So when I saw it, I was excited to check it out. I picked it up last night and beat it this morning. From what I remember, this game is supposed to be like taking Steamboat Willie, since it is a free IP now, and turning it into a horror game. And while they did use that 20s imagery, I would say this doesn't have anything to do with Steamboat Willie. But there's a few things I have to say before we actually start the video. The first one, you guys know it, please hit that like and subscribe button. The second one, I will have an ad in here, but I'm also going to have a time if you want to skip the ad. And number 3, trigger warning. This game is very well triggering. Honestly, it deals with a lot of really heavy topics, from child abuse to how someone would develop like a dependence on like food or something like that. And of course, like there are some really messed up images, but the biggest one being child abuse. I mean, out of all the games I've played, this is like the Michael Jordan of child abuse. Now that is a sentence I thought I would never say, but hey, you bring levity to child abuse. It's not easy. Anyway, let's get into the game. So anyway, in this game, you play as a child mouse. Your mother left a note for you to let you know that she's going to be gone for a little bit, and in that meantime, you really got to take care of your father, at least make him happy. And in short, you really start off just by like cleaning the house and doing tasks like that, but at the same time while you're doing these tasks, there are things like spiders that are coming after you, literally trying to attack you, and honestly giving you some decent jump scares. And as the game goes on, we get more and more tasks to do, things like washing our father's boots and his laundry, and while those things play out, we are introduced to a lot of the psychological abuse and physical abuse that this mouse child has to deal with, and we also get a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, to see why the father is so messed up. And here I have another little bit of a trigger warning and a spoiler warning, I guess. It's slight. I'm gonna say it real quick though, so if you don't want to hear it, just skip like 10 seconds ahead. But anyway, we find out that the father is a massive drug abuser and alcoholic. In fact, one of our tasks is bringing him his painkillers. But of course, the story includes far more than that being an issue. I don't want to give anything away, not more than you could find in like the general bio of the game. But with that being said, there are aspects of the story that I don't think go deep enough. For some of the heavy topics that they touch upon, okay, hell, they build their whole game around, they don't really explain a lot. Like, the game ends really quickly, if that makes sense. Like, before you know it, it's kind of over. And in some ways, the story just kind of fucked me up, if I'm being honest. Like, I wasn't driven to tears or anything of that nature, but I was more, like, left with a certain amount of questions that I would have rather the game had answered. And while I could see people disagreeing about how the story is, I actually think the gameplay might be more divisive. And we'll get into that after a word from our sponsor. So people ask me all the time, Nima, how do you play so many video games? And I tell them, well, for one, I'm kind of a bad person. I play video games all the time. Kids' soccer games, playing video games. A funeral, I'm playing video games. Other important things for a relationship, yeah, I'm still playing video games. But the other thing I do is I use Dubby Energy. I mean, real talk, I usually don't mess with energy drinks because they mess with my anxiety. But I gotta be honest, with Dubby, I didn't feel that way. In fact, I was really hesitant to even do a sponsorship with Dubby until they sent me their product and I got to try it for myself. And the big difference between Dubby and other energy drinks is the fact that Dubby uses whole coffee fruit extract. Now honestly, I didn't think this would be a big deal, but it actually is. See, it actually enhances production of a protein that promotes brain health and clarity. And it's this ingredient that I think really helps Dubby stand out. And somehow Dubby actually tastes really good without using sugar. But don't take my word for it. Try it yourself by either clicking the link below or just go to Dubby's website and make sure you use the promo code NEMA so that you can save yourself 10% off your order. And a big shout out to Dubby for sponsoring this video. Good job selling out, Nima. Anyway, back to the game. And one of the main things that I think people are going to hate about the game as far as gameplay is how slow you move. Like, it is awful how slow you move. Let me give you just a little bit of advice. If you're going to check this game out, the first thing that you should do is go to the controller sensitivity and crank that all the way up. It is the only way that I was able to play this game without wanting to die. Like, yes, the child abuse, the horrific psychological torment, and all of that is awful, but Jesus Lord, the snail's pace movement of this game was gonna bring me to tears. But once you crank that sensitivity all the way up, the game is actually a little bit more playable. The only thing that doesn't change is how fast your character can walk or run, which is also incredibly slow. And I haven't felt like running wasn't that fast, nor did it really like lock into place or feel organic in any way. You know, like there's some games, I know it's not going to be as fast paced as like a Call of Duty or a Fallout or something like that, but it does have that first person view and it does kind of bring you into that movement. And while you do have that first person view, that movement is definitely not there. It's just a lot slower. It actually turns out to be a bit painful. It's sort of like, remember when your first vehicles that you owned, getting onto the interstate and you're trying to beat the traffic and it was almost painful and anxiety inducing? Yeah, that's the same experience as running in this game. But to make up for it, it actually does have a lot of cool like puzzles that you got to figure out that are not overly complex, but they're complex enough that they're a lot of fun, like doing the laundry or making french fries. Those two things were awesome in this game. But there again, on the downside, actually aiming and striking an enemy with like a fly swatter that you get in the game is actually really difficult. It just doesn't seem to line up right, and you almost have to move while you're hitting to really secure that you get a good hit. I don't know how often I've used a weapon in the game and just felt like I had it lined up, everything should have hit just fine, and he didn't. But honestly, as weird as this might sound, that didn't really bother me that much. The combat in this game is there, it's important, all of that, but it's not like really a cornerstone of the game, so I could kind of forgive some of that and just enjoy that experience for what it was. And I think one of the main reasons that I can forgive it is because the game is also very forgiving when you do die. Like you almost respawn exactly where you died within like a couple seconds. It's very quickly that you're back in the action again. And also on that note, I didn't really die that many times. There was one boss that I died quite a few times, but that was it. The rest of the game was pretty easy, so it wasn't overly frustrating when I would miss an attack. And I will say one of the cornerstones of this game is the imagery and the music, and I think these two components were done incredibly well, with the imagery and visuals just being paramount. This game reminded me sort of like Cuphead, Steamboat Willie, and Doom all mixed together, with the result just feeling organic. It felt like all of these components belonged together. But really, it's also more than that. It was about the lighting, it was about the character design. They did an amazing job expressing the characters' emotions in these incredibly detailed hand-drawn 2D images, and at the same time they would take this to the extreme and these images would become almost grotesque. If you can't tell, I really love the art in this game, and the music also fits the game perfectly. I wouldn't expect like dubstep or something, but I was impressed with that quality of music that was put into the game. Ultimately, this is a tough one for me because the game is only about 2.5 hours or so, and it is $11.99, which is a little bit on the pricey side for such a short game, although when you look at the quality of work that's in the game, you can definitely justify that cost. But also, this is kind of a horror game that's not really that scary. It's a first-person view game that doesn't really utilize that view as well, so it's a toss-up. For me, I would say that I would wait for a sale. That's just me personally. I think the game is good and well worth playing, and I know this sounds crazy, but if the game was like $9.99, I think that would be easier to justify. I know it's only like a couple dollars, but in the whole scheme of things, it adds up, and that's just my opinion. Ultimately, if I was going to give this game a score, I think I would give it about a 6.5 out of 10. If it was longer, I could see raising that score, but when I combine things like the controls, the length of gameplay, the value, all of that combined just doesn't really reach the levels of like a 7 out of 10. But that's again just my thoughts. I'm curious what your thoughts are though. Please let me know down in the comment section if this is a game you want to check out or haven't heard of before or have already played. Let me know your thoughts down below. One other thing I just wanted to mention to all my viewers and stuff, this whole sponsorship ad thing is not something I'm gonna have in every video, probably not even every other video. I'm just kind of playing around with it. It was an opportunity given to me and I just kind of wanted to try it out, but I know it adds a lot to a video, so I'm not going to put it in most of them. I just like I said, I just wanted to dip my toes in the whole thing, you know, feel like a real YouTuber. Anyway, I love each and every one of you guys. Take care everyone. Bye bye.